Hello Nephlearners. There is an old Hindi song, Dil dhadak raha hai, dil machal raha hai. Is there a difference? Yes, certainly there is. And in this session we will learn all about cardiac arrhythmias, their causes, their management, and most importantly what we as technicians need to do to monitor our dialysis settings in order to avoid their occurrence. So let's begin. A patient of cardiac arrhythmias will complain of a fluttering sensation in the chest, accompanied by giddiness, sweating, breathlessness, mild chest pain, and fatigue. Arrhythmias can lead to decreased quality of life, increased hospitalizations, and higher mortality. Their occurrence leads to addition of treatments and modification of regimens in the dialysis of patients. Hence, they should be avoided wherever possible. This study of the causes of death in prevalent dialysis patients from 2009 to 2011 from the United States Renal Data Systems shows that arrhythmias are one of the leading causes of death. Nearly 26.9% of the patients have arrhythmias and cardiac arrest in this study. Other causes include acute myocardial infarction, congestive heart failure, cerebrovascular accident, and others. Can we predict the type of patient who is likely to have cardiac arrhythmias? Yes, we can. And so, let us look at some of the predictors of cardiac arrhythmias which can result in sudden cardiac death, and let us avoid their occurrence. Bradyarrhythmias are known to occur in patients above 55 years of age with pre-existing cardiac coronary artery disease, a long QTC or PR interval on ECG, diabetes mellitus, and most importantly, those with a long interdialytic period. Ventricular arrhythmias are known to occur in patients of age more than 55 years with pre-existing left ventricular hypertrophy, systolic dysfunction or dilatation, hypertension, coronary artery disease, and last but not the least, aggressive removal of potassium during dialysis. Hence, it is recommended that the rule of 7 should be applied to patients of hyperkalemia, in which the sum of dialysate potassium and serum potassium should be equal to 7. Sudden cardiac death may occur if there is aggressive removal of potassium during dialysis and left ventricular hypertrophy or autonomic dysfunction. Electrolyte imbalances, particularly potassium and calcium, are common during dialysis and can predispose to arrhythmias. Fluid overload and the rapid removal of fluids during dialysis can lead to hypotension, strain on the heart, and trigger arrhythmias. Underlying cardiovascular disease, which is common in ESRD patients, is a significant risk factor. The presence of comorbid conditions like diabetes and hypertension also contributes to the risk. One of the most important diagnostic investigations is a good 12-lead ECG with a long lead 2, B5 and B6. So what are these findings in the ECG that we must look for as technicians? Let's find out. After each heartbeat, the system recharges to prepare for the next heartbeat. In long QT syndrome, the heart's electrical system takes longer than usual to recharge between beats, and this delay is called prolonged QT interval, which can be seen on an ECG. Congenital or acquired, these are the risk factors for dialysis patients, which may cause a prolonged QT interval. Hypomagnesemia, hypokalemia, hypocalcemia, intracranial bleed, hypothermia, and hypothyroidism. Here we can see the prolonged QT interval clearly. QTC is prolonged if it is more than 440 milliseconds in men or more than 460 milliseconds in women. The QT interval is usually measured in either lead 2 or V5, V6. The corrected QT interval estimates the QT interval at a standard heart rate of 60 beats per minute. This allows comparison of QT values over time at different heart rates and improves the detection of patients at increased risk of arrhythmias. There are multiple formulas which can be used to estimate QTC. Torsades de pointes, that is twisting of points, is a life-threatening irregular heartbeat. The heart's two lower chambers, that is ventricles, beat fast and chaotically, making the waves on an ECG monitor look twisted. The heart pumps out less blood. The lack of blood to the brain causes sudden fainting, often without warning. If this episode lasts for a long time, Fainting can be followed by full body seizure. If the dangerous rhythm does not correct itself, then a life-threatening arrhythmia called ventricular fibrillation follows, and this can then cause sudden cardiac death. The PR interval is the time from the onset of the P wave to the start of the QRS complex. It reflects conduction through the AV node. Prolonged PR interval indicates a delayed conduction through the AV node, which can be first-degree heart block or second-degree block. Normal PR interval is 120 to 200 milliseconds. If the PR interval is more than 200 milliseconds, first-degree heart block is said to be present. PR interval less than 120 milliseconds suggests pre-excitation, that is, presence of an accessory pathway between atria and ventricles, or AV nodal junctional rhythm. The Framingham study showed that prolonged PR interval is associated significantly with atrial fibrillation, requiring pacemaker installation, and even possible sudden cardiac death. There are two types of arrhythmias. Excess rhythm of the heartbeat is known as tachyarrhythmia, and slow rhythm of heartbeats is known as bradyarrhythmia. In tachyarrhythmia, the heartbeat is more than 100 beats per minute. In bradyarrhythmia, the rhythm is less than 60 beats per minute. The tachyarrhythmias are further classified into atrial and ventricular. Atrial tachyarrhythmias include sinus tachycardia, atrial flutter in which heart rate is between 200 to 350 beats per minute, atrial fibrillation in which the heart rate is between 350 to 500 beats per minute, and finally, supraventricular tachycardia. Ventricular tachyarrhythmias include ventricular tachycardia, ventricular flutter, and ventricular fibrillation. There are several studies which have been done which have identified dialysis-related factors leading to the formation of cardiac arrhythmias and sudden cardiac death subsequently. These factors include things like frequency of dialysis, duration of dialysis, the dialysate that we prepare, its temperature, and so on. Let us look at these findings and what we as technicians can do to avoid arrhythmias. Reduced GFR causes endocardial and diffuse myocardial fibrosis that increases the incidence of sudden cardiac death. Each 10 ml per minute per 1.73 meter squared reduction in GFR is associated with an 11% increased risk of sudden cardiac death. Thus, in dialysis patients, there is the highest risk of sudden cardiac death due to arrhythmias. It was noticed in this study that ventricular tachycardia sustained for more than 30 seconds, or bradycardia for more than 6 seconds, or asystole for more than 3 seconds were associated with arrhythmias. Bradycardia was the commonest precedent to occurrence of arrhythmias. The timing of the week and dialysis sessions was also strongly correlated with occurrence of arrhythmias, and it was found that this occurrence was highest during the first hemodialysis session of the week, followed by the last 12 hours of a long interdialytic gap. The third highest occurrence was related to the 12 hours immediately following the first session of the week. Thus, as technicians, we must encourage our patients to have a regular frequency of dialysis and avoid long interdialytic gaps. Also, for such patients, it would be a good practice to keep the cardiac monitor ready for patients reporting for dialysis after long gaps. Consider a patient with thrice-a-week hemodialysis schedule, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They experience a 2-day-long interdialytic interval on Saturday and Sunday. A patient with twice-a-week schedule, that is Monday and Friday, the regular interdialytic period is nearly 32 hours. And the length of the prolonged interdialytic period over the weekend is much longer at about 56 hours. And in patients who do not follow any standard dialytic pattern, there is a variable prolonged interdialytic period of at least 72 hours or longer, and this may then predispose to occurrence of arrhythmias. Similarly, atrial fibrillation was observed spiking during the hemodialysis sessions and decreasing over the next 24 to 36 hours. And again, highest occurrence during the last 36 hours of a long interdialytic gap. However, not all arrhythmias are considered as clinically significant, and these may be atrial arrhythmias or sinus tachycardia simply. The dialysate preparation may have a role to play in the occurrence of arrhythmias. a dialysate temperature of more than 37 degrees centigrade, calcium of 2.5 milliequiliters, and use of sodium modeling was more likely to be associated with arrhythmias as per this study. Ventricular arrhythmias may be triggered due to factors like electrolyte disturbances, acid-base disorders, uremia, and dialysis in which there is variation in fluid and electrolyte balance. Age and malnutrition may also contribute. Having understood the various factors that can lead to the formation of cardiac arrhythmias and its settings in dialysis, we should now learn about the management of these patients once the cardiac arrhythmia does occur, because if unattended, this can lead to even sudden cardiac death. Let us proceed. Stop the dialysis and return the blood. Check the dialysate potassium, temperature and calcium, and also check for serum potassium and calcium. Check for sodium profiling and the rate at which ultrafiltration has been set, and review. Give supportive measures such as cardiac monitoring and keep the vein open in case of medications to be given. Provide oxygen supplementation only as needed. As technicians, we need to counsel patients for a regular schedule with no missed treatments. The dialysate must be prepared correctly with no major fluctuations in electrolytes. Dialysate temperature should not be more than 37 degrees centigrade. Cardiovascular medicines, potassium binders must be checked and reconciled from time to time. A comprehensive approach to review cardiovascular therapy and medications, dialysis prescription, and lifestyle modifications is a necessity to avoid arrhythmias. Finally, the medical management of the patient will be done by the cardiologist. The management of these conditions addresses continuous monitoring, synchronized electrical cardioversion, administration of drugs like calcium antagonists, anticoagulants, warfarin, amiodarone, acetylsalicylic acid, and other antiarrhythmic drugs such as lidocaine and procainamide. In addition, there will be surgical and interventional therapy in the form of a pacemaker.